Biden's issues with gender, after all, go far beyond chronic handsiness. His waffling on reproductive choice troubles many feminists. As the Times reported last week, Biden's back and forth over abortion would become a hallmark of his political career. In other words, he has said in the past that he is personally opposed to abortion, and this is no longer okay with the base of the Democratic Party. He was the chairman of the hearings on Clarence Thomas's Supreme Court nomination, where Anita Hill, who accused Thomas of sexual harassment, was demeaned and dismissed. Well, that's because Anita Hill was probably not telling the full truth, as witness testimony made clear. Though Biden has expressed sorrow for how Hill was treated, he's never directly apologized to her. Beyond gender, on issue after issue, if Biden runs for president, he'll have to run away from his own record. He, and by extension we, will have to relive the debate over the Iraq War, which he voted to authorize. He'll have to explain his vote to repeal the Glass-Steagall Act, which, by lifting regulations on banking, helped create the conditions for the 2008 financial meltdown. That, by the way, is a bunch of nonsense. It was not the Glass-Steagall Act removal that led to the financial meltdown. It was the government sponsoring subprime mortgages and backing them and letting hedge funds know that if they continued to invest in subprime mortgages, the government would essentially cover for them. In 2016, Hillary Clinton was slammed for her previous support of the 1994 Violent Crime Control and Law Enforcement Act, which contributed to mass incarceration. Biden helped write the law. So here is where the Democrats are starting to disavow Barack Obama and Joe Biden. The old Democratic Party must die to make room for the new. Ross Douthat makes the same point over at the New York Times today. Now, Douthat obviously is a Republican, but nonetheless, he is not wrong to point this out. So Douthat has this piece in the New York Times called The Real Joe Biden Decision. It says, at some point soon, Joe Biden is going to have to make two decisions. The first is whether he wants to run for the Democratic nomination. The second is whether he wants to win it and at what cost. Right now, even after some slippage, Biden has the highest polling numbers of any candidate in the race. He also has a record that is completely out of step with his party's activists and ideologists, a highly familiar personal style, and a base of support that's roughly as old as he is. This combination makes it easy to imagine Biden running a campaign that ends up feeling like an apology tour in which he talks endlessly about how much he has learned and grown since the days when he was a tough-on-crime Democrat who opposed school busing and sometimes voted for late-term abortion limits. Some of the ideas apparently bandied about by his aides, a one-term pledge, Stacey Abrams as running mate, fit with this strategy, in which the goal would be to establish Biden as a temporary bridge to a woker future, a candidate ready to put his moderate past behind him and serve the new liberal consensus. That kind of Biden campaign would probably lose. Indeed, it would probably lose as badly as Jeb Bush did. Why? Because in a big primary field, with a lot of flavors available, it's very hard to hold your base if you aren't giving that base a clear reason to vote for you. This, of course, is exactly right from Ross Douthat. And he points out that on social issues, he is out of step. And on racial issues, he is not considered woke enough. So what exactly would Biden have to do? He'd have to appeal to all of these groups openly and directly, which would require taking ownership of his record, not defending everything, not avoiding all apologies, but arguing explicitly that some tough-on-crime policies were necessary, and some moderation on abortion should be acceptable, that the Ocasio-Cortez turn on economic policy should be questioned or resisted, and yes, defending his personal familiarity. But is Biden going to do any of that stuff? First of all, I think it would be good if he did, but he's not going to do any of that stuff. And so Biden has a problem. I've been saying for legitimately weeks on this program, the best day for Joe Biden is the first day for Joe Biden. Every day after that is a worse day for Joe Biden. And if he thinks that Barack Obama is going to provide cover to him, he's got another thing coming. Obama is not going to endorse him in a primary. And that means that Biden is out there on his own. Biden has logorrhea. He runs on at the mouth all the time. He has diarrhea of the face. The man says things on a routine basis. I know we all pretend that Joe Biden is some sort of elder statesman. Joe Biden has a long record saying dumb stuff. All the way back in 2008, you will recall that he famously called Barack Obama a different kind of African-American presidential candidate, clean and articulate. And that's the person who Joe Biden is when he is on the campaign trail. Do we really think he's not going to make those kind of gaffes again? And there's also another point, which is even if Barack Obama were to endorse Joe Biden, would that be enough to put Joe Biden over the top? Because there is a gap between the base of the Democratic Party and the mainstream of the Democratic Party. The progressive, woke left of the Democratic Party, which is disproportionately white, by the way, not minority, a lot of those folks are not particularly fond of Barack Obama. They see Barack Obama in the same way that, for example, Ilhan Omar has described Barack Obama as a guy who is droning terrorists in foreign countries and who's too conciliatory toward Republicans. Yes, that's a wild rewriting of history, but that doesn't matter to a lot of the progressives in the base. So when Eric Holder, the former Barack Obama Attorney General, goes out in public and he says things like, Trump will be seen as one of the worst presidents, but Barack Obama will be seen as one of the best, I don't know how many members of the Democratic Party base actually agree with this. This is him with Ari Melber on MSNBC yesterday.
To Donald Trump.